Okay, so imagine a room. In this room, you're not by yourself, there are other people around, they're having conversations, they're speaking with each other, maybe they're speaking with you, but the conversations they're having or the interests they have don't really align with yours. So as a result, your relationships, not just romantic relationships, but relationships with family or with friends or with work colleagues, they're just not quite what it is that you want. Not that there's anything wrong with anybody, and not that there's anything wrong with you, they don't really match together, you know. So even though you're not literally or physically alone, there's still a bit of disconnect going on there with the people who are in your life. You've got what you do for your own personal life, you've got your activities, you've got your things that you spend time doing, but you don't feel that any of them are particularly fulfilling. Maybe the work in this room is not the kind of work you want to be doing, right? You feel that you're wasted. Maybe you're not interested in what you're doing. Maybe you think that you're destined for bigger things, or even just not necessarily bigger, different things. You feel like there's something missing or something wrong, something that you can't quite put your finger on. You just know it's not right. So you're in this room and you're looking around and you realise that you've been sleepwalking. Do you know what I mean? You're walking around in a state of, I've just had enough, fed up of it. It's like, well, had enough of what? Fed up of what? You don't know the answer to that because you've never really asked yourself the question. You know something needs changing, you just don't know what it is or what to do about it. Because of that, you're thinking that you're stuck. The reason why you're thinking you're stuck is you've forgotten you have a choice. The reason why you've forgotten you have a choice is you've forgotten you can choose. And the reason you've forgotten you can choose is you've forgotten who you are. Maybe everything's fine, you know, like a lot of people just live in fine. Like, how are your relationships? Oh, fine. How are your friendships? Fine. How's work going? No, it's fine. And you just get like higher and higher pitched. The higher pitched you are when you answer that question, you end up being like, oh, it's fine. It's like, well, that just means you're just really not grounded in your reality. All of these things that are going on are just fine, but it's like, but you're not supposed to be fine. You know, you're supposed to be a lot better than fine. Fine isn't where you want it to be. It's like, you're not fine, are you? You know, it's not really fine. You just say that when you haven't got anything better to say. On the other hand, you might know exactly what's wrong, right? So you might go, fed up of this, you know, sick of that. Don't want to do that anymore. Don't want to have to deal with this, and I don't want to have to do this anymore, and I want to do something completely different. And then you can look at that and you can go, okay, well, there's a bunch of things that you don't want anymore. What do you want instead? That's a tough question. A lot of people won't even ask themselves that, right? But maybe you have, right? Maybe you've figured it out. Maybe you've gone, I'm going to do this instead, and I want that. I'm very clear on it. That puts you further than most, but maybe there's something in your way, right? Not doing this anymore, I'm going to do that. Great, yeah. What's stopping you? Well, I can't. All right. Why? Maybe you haven't got an answer to that. But the answer to that is the same as a lot of people's answer, and it's just, you're in your own way. That's the answer. So either way, you're looking around this room and you're thinking, how did I get here? You know what I mean? How can I get out of this room? Or how can I change it to make it better suited to me in the way I want to live? And you might have nobody to talk to about it. And you might be looking around at everybody else, and everybody else just seems to be getting on with it. You know what I mean? They're all fine, aren't they? So if you're in this room and everybody else seems to be getting along with it, all of these other people we were talking about before, then you start thinking, well, if everyone else is fine, there must be something wrong with me. Just because you put yourself in that situation doesn't mean you're to blame for the situation. You do have influence. You can influence the situation around you, and it is your responsibility to do so. But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's like, nah, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just in the wrong room. So then, if you know you're in the wrong room, you can start thinking properly. You can start thinking, you know what, I don't need fixing. It's like, now it's a life problem. It's like, all right, okay, who runs your life? Well, I do. And then the next thing from that is, okay, well, if you run your life, then who are you being? Because you might want to get that right. So once you've asked yourself that question, there's a natural tendency to start to look outside of yourself for the answer. You start looking to other people to tell you what it is that you should be. And that's the way we've been living our lives up until this point anyway. But even if you do it out of choice, right, you'll look and do some research. I'll figure out how to do this. I'll figure out how to do that. It's like, that's fine. You know, you do need to look for further information about what it is that you want to do, but not about who it is that you should be. And that's all about you, you know. Then you think, well, what I really need to do is I need to step out of this room for a minute, right? I need to gather my head. I need to go somewhere safe. I need to just shut out the influences of all these other people, whether I'm seeking them or not, because those other people we were talking about before, they'll have something to say as well. I need to figure out what it is that I want. I need to figure out how to get out of my own way. But above all of it, I need to remember who I am. So once you've figured out that that's what you need to do, the room starts looking different. Still got all the same people in it. Still in the same job. You're still not at the level of health you want to be at, whatever it might be. But then all of a sudden, you look across the room and you're like, there's a door there. That's the door to the room at AtOneFireside.